What is going on, my Carp Nation? I am BobZeBattleDroid, and I am here with another Stealthy Saturday strategy video. In this video, I'm going to be going over a fun deck. I don't know how good it is, but regardless, it is fun. It is a Aromatisse stall deck. Don't really know what else to call it. It's like you could say it's a toolbox deck. It does not have everything under it right now. I still, it still needs some testing and work to it. Probably not going to really myself pursue this deck, but it is an idea that I wanted to get this out to you guys. Show you guys kind of a deck that I thought of might work and expanded now that we have some new good Pokemon and some new good stalling Pokemon. And so let's just get into this deck here. And with every fairy deck, you run some Xerneas. Xerneas has this attack called Geomancy, which allows us to choose 2 bench Pokemon and attach a fairy energy to each of them from our deck. And that's just great. It's a great way to set up your fairy Pokemon, or if you're playing a box like this deck is, other types. So our other type Pokemon in this deck are 2 Jolteon and 2 Glaceon. Now, if you don't know what either of them do, Jolteon has an attack called Flash Ray, and what Flash Ray does is it does 70 damage, but it prevents any damage done to it by basic Pokemon during the next turn. Glaceon has an attack called Crystal Ray, does 70 damage as well, and it does the same thing except for evolved Pokemon. And so I was like, Jolteon and Glaceon are pretty decent, but there's nothing that can really use them and utilize them together, right? Because you can't really, it's difficult to put them together in the same deck. And so I thought, if we pair a Pokemon called Aromatisse with it, maybe we can do something. What Aromatisse has, it has an ability called Fairy Transfer. Fairy Transfer allows us to take energy, fairy energy specifically, from any of our Pokemon. We do have to go over a couple more. And then we can move them to any other Pokemon we want. So we can take energy from Jolteon, move it to Glaceon. We can take energy from Aromatisse. We can attach energy to Aromatisse. We can put it to Spritzee. Whatever we need to do in this deck gives it a lot of flexibility, right? If we want to have a Jolteon up there and we say, you know what, our opponent's going to get the evolved Pokemon out soon, and they're going to try to go that route, right? Maybe we want to surprise them and say, let's bring in a Glaceon, right? Our opponent's going to be sitting there on the bench, have a Pokemon there, getting ready to evolve, and you haven't showed them yet you're going to bring out the Glaceon, right? They don't know. You're like, oh, just go Jolteon. Then you can bring out a Glaceon. When they go out to bring an evolved Pokemon, move all the energy to Glaceon, let them knock out the Jolteon. Typically you would probably move the energy before that. They would knock the Jolteon out. Then you move it all to Glaceon, and now they just set up an evolved Pokemon. But now they have, what do? Set up another basic Pokemon? Right, you've already probably taken a prize with this. And so that's where kind of the fun deck comes from. And I know you're asking, but wait, they're different types and they do require different energy. How are we going to do that? I will show you when we go to the energy in this deck. Our big sweeping attacker, because Jolteon and Glaceon do not have a high enough damage output, is going to be Mega Gardevoir. Has an attack called Brilliant Arrow, and it does 30 damage times the amount of fairy energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And so that's really great. By turn 5 or 6, we're already hitting for one-hit knockouts on 240 HP Pokemon. Yes, that is right, Wailord, that is for you. We also run 2 of the meta, 2 Shaymaniacs, and 1 Hoopa. 1 Hoopa because, it's great for finding a Shaman, and we also need to get the Jolteon set up, preferably on turn 1, so we can Xerneas if we go turn 2, or if we go, rather, second on turn 1. Get a Jolteon charged up, and we can put an energy on Spritzee. When we evolve through Aromatisse, we can move that around. Hopefully get Jolteon set up by maybe turn 2 is pushing it. Turn 3 probably is a good bet for this deck. And so that's this part of the deck, all of the Pokemon. We don't run anything else, but in terms of Pokemon, of course. We run plenty of other things. But it's quite a lot of Pokemon. It's a lot. But again, this is a box deck. You're going to run a lot. We run 4 Professor Sycamore, 3 N, and 1 Lysander. Streamlining the deck here. Not making it complex at all. I would probably might take out an N. Could book a Pokemon Ranger in here. Maybe to deal with Sableye Garb. We do play the VS Seeker. We do play plenty of VS Seeker 4. We can spam that because this deck, it will kill this deck. Now we won't be able to wall, but Sableye Garb, I mean, you can just hit it with a Glaceon. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you get a Glaceon charged up, it doesn't really matter. You can just spam that. Their deck is not built to take prizes. You just put 1 Pokemon Ranger in there. You should have enough to deal with the deck, and you know, hopefully that should be enough to just deal with it. Now, laser is somewhat of a problem. That is something to think about. Could always add, if you can find something else in this deck that you want to take out, you can always add a Virizion in there. But again, Garbodor will take off that ability. But with the Toad deck, it can make the deck a little bit more difficult to deal with. Of course, the main strategy is if you know Toad can't deal with this deck, is to laser bank it and try to sit on that. You know, we don't want any of that though. So we just don't want to deal with it. For items, we run 1 Computer Search. It's great for this deck. Don't want the Dowsing Machine. We want to search out those max potions, and I will show you that in a second here. We run 2 Trainer's Mail. Can't find much more space in this deck to add another one. Again, you could probably find more space to add something else, but it's difficult. 4 VS Seeker, you've got to. I mean, yeah. Could bring it down to 3 realistically because we're not running variants of cards, but you know, it's always helpful. I might end up adding an AZ if the 2 cards really I'm looking at is a Pokemon Ranger to deal with Sableye Garb and then an AZ. You can also use Pokemon Ranger to deal with Toad, but you can't play the VS Seeker to get it, so it's not as easy with like a Sableye Garb. Of course, always check the expanded meta. It's going to be weird because Pokemon Rangers are going to shake everything up, and you don't know if it's going to be, if Sableye Garb is going to even be popular because Pokemon Ranger is going to be a thing and it's just going to destroy the deck. But then again, Sableye Garb players might be like, well, I don't think anyone's going to play it because I think it's going to be dead, and I could make it surprise people and maybe make it to top cut. And then you're looking at like, why didn't I play that card? So we got 4 Ultra Ball here. Searching out a Pokemon, searching out the Hoopa. 2 Spirit Link for Gardevoir. We're not wasting a turn to get that thing evolved. 1 Escape Rope. 2 Max Potion. So we do run those here. And I do have, I don't know where it went. Where is it? Here it is. Super Rod. Super Rod is another card that we run in this deck. We need it. Could go with Sacred Ash, but I think we really need to worry about our energy. Energy is important in this deck, especially when you want to attack with Mega Gardevoir, and that's a big deal in this deck. Max Potion, I can go quickly and briefly go over what the strategy is with that. If I can find my Aromatisse here. And we'll just use a Jolteon, and we'll just bring out these Xerneas. So, okay, situation. We've got our Jolteon out here attacking. Let's say we're going against, I don't know. Let's say we're going up against a Fighting Bats deck, right? So, Landorus is out, doing some damage. Actually, can't do any damage right now. But if he was able to, could bring up something that isn't basic. Now, they don't typically have basics, but let's just say that he brought, or let's say it's a Hippowdon deck. Maybe he runs a Hippowdon, so he brought in Landorus. That's what he's starting with, but it's a Hippowdon, and so he's getting that evolved, getting ready to attack the Jolteon. He's gonna one-shot it because of the fighting weakness with the Jolteon. He's already got some damage on it from the bats. If he runs a short bat line, he might be able to get something like that going, although it's probably a bad build. But let's just say it for this scenario. Now, you're thinking, okay, now, I want to bring this out. I want to bring this to the bench, right? I want to bring up a Glaceon, right? But I'm worried that this card might be Lysandered up, late game, or it could be hit by bats, which is even a bigger concern because the bats can hit it from anywhere. Well, let's say you've got a Xerneas on your bench. Let's move all of the energy from Aromatisse to Xerneas, right? Now we can have a Max Potion here. And Max Potion says, heal all damage from one of your Pokemon, then discard all energy attached to the Pokemon. Well, we just moved all the energy to Xerneas. Now we can use Max Potion for essentially free, heal all the damage off of Jolteon, move the energy back to Jolteon, if we want to. Typically, if you were going up against Hippowdon, you'd move it to a Glaceon and go that route. But that is kind of the theme of this deck here, is to just heal and be a troll. But it's fun. It's a very fun deck. Escape Rope, that's there. Again, if you wanted to get around Toad, well, you can't do that to get around Toad. But you could get it around other things. If you wanted to get around a Jolteon, for example, you do have the Mega Gardevoir, so it's not that much of a concern, but it is always something to think about. That's going to be it for the items here. Now on to what our stadiums are in this deck. We run 5 stadiums, so it's quite a lot, and it's more than a typical deck. Of course, 5 is quite a high number, but we want to win the stadium more with this deck. And I cannot seem to find my stadiums. Where are they? Okay, here they are. Now I've got them. So we run 3 Skyfield and 2 Fairy Garden. Skyfield is what we want to start with. We want to find that Skyfield early. Battle Compressor, or not Battle Compressor. Computer Search can help us find that. Skyfield's going to help us set up the bench. Realistically, we're probably going to have 6 Pokemon on the bench. If you're counting 1 Shaman, 1 Hoopa, a Xerneas to start with, either 2 Jolteon, 2 Glaceon, or 1 each, depending on the deck you're facing. And then you're going to be setting up a Mega Gardevoir. That's 7 Pokemon in total. And, Skyfield's going to allow us to have 8. That could be more room for the Shaman. Of course, but we don't want to keep that. Now our opponent might discard the stadium, or they might know that, it might be difficult for them to hit an EX or a Pokemon that's got some higher HP, and Shaman looks pretty nice, right? Because if they know that if they can't hit a Pokemon pretty much with a one-hit knockout, there's always Max Potion in this deck, and it's waiting there. So they might not discard the Skyfield. We do play the Fairy Guard in here. It's a great card. It gives us all of our Pokemon free retreat as long as there's energy attached to it. So as long as we have Aromatisse and that ability is working, all of our Pokemon have free retreat because we can move the energy around, and it also gets rid of that Skyfield. The Skyfield is there to set up the bench, get everything set up. Then we want to use Fairy Garden to get rid of all of those easy targets. So the 2 Shamans for the knockout targets, and then the Hoopa for a Lysander stall target. We want to get rid of those. We don't want to deal with them. They're annoying. Very annoying. And that's going to be it for the stadiums, and now just onto the energy. We run 12 energy, 4 Prism energy, and 8 basic Fairy. So at the beginning of the video, I said I was going to explain how the heck we were going to work with 2 Pokemon that aren't Fairy, that require a Lightning and a Water energy, because we don't have any Lightning or Water energy in this deck here. Well, I'm going to explain that to you now. So, Jolteon requires just 1 Lightning energy, and Glaceon requires 1 Water. Now, we do run 4 Prism energy, and in this deck, Prism energy is better than Rainbow energy because we don't want to pay the 1 damage counter to actually attach it. But assuming that you're going to get a Glaceon or Jolteon set up by hopefully turn 3, the hope is you're going to be able to find one of these by turn 3. Whether it's by Professor Sycamore, or we do run that Computer Search in this deck, and Computer Search is going to be helpful in getting that out as well. But if we have a Prism energy attached to a Pokemon, it's going to count as that energy, but it also counts as Fairy energy as well whenever you want it in the turn. So you can always move it to Glaceon or move it back to Jolteon, vice versa. It allows us to work with our other Fairy Pokemon as well, and so that's a strategy as well. So this deck is definitely a fun deck. It's always been a popular deck. A lot of people like the deck. It's been in and out competitive, and I think that's kind of how this deck might go, especially with how many people play Pokemon Ranger, because frankly, you can't just go in with a Mega Gardevoir, especially with the way that this deck is built. You could play a Mega Gardevoir deck and, you know, deal with Mega Turbo route and just setting up your Pokemon as quickly as possible. But I kind of like this Walls idea. And, you know, getting it set up and going through with it is kind of a fun strategy. That's going to be about it for this video. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to catch you guys later in the next video.